Those of us who are actively supporting the cause of Palestinian people as activists, as online persons, or as intellectuals and scholars, we are often not trained how to speak to the media, how to talk to the media. So let's look at some strategies about how to talk to the media. So by media, I don't only mean the mainstream media, I mean anyone who has a camera, whether it's their phone, they might be a YouTuber, a TikToker, or a blogger, anyone who seeks your opinion or even just films you. It is important how we express our love for the Palestinian people, how we look, how we express our emotions. So keep in mind one important principle. You are in the streets or protesting on your campus or making a video online for YouTube or TikTok because you care about the Palestinian people. It should always be focused on the rights and lives of Palestinian people and not on you. That's the most important thing to keep in mind, not just for the media, but for generally thinking about Palestine. Now let's look at the possible scenarios. There are likely to be two kinds of media coverages. One could be the live coverage. You're at a protest. You're being filmed, of course. Or a media person comes to you and puts the mic in your face and asks you a question. Now, the first is you being passive participants in what's being filmed, which the media company will later edit and maybe show in one of their news shows or whatever. The other has a certain degree of immediacy to it because it could be live or it could still be a snippet that they will cut, edit, and reuse. So first, addressing the first one, if we are in a protest, the way we behave, right, the way our facial expressions are, the way we deal with each other, all of that sends a visual message. Now remember, our addressee isn't the anchor person or the person interviewing you or filming you. It's the people watching you. The whole purpose of our protest in the streets is to change and shift the public opinion. It's not about expressing our outrage or our anger, right? So if we are in a crowd and if we are in a group and there are 1,000 of us, in my humble opinion, what will have a more powerful impact, right? Remember, people sitting in their homes are watching you. Would it be we raising our fists and angrily shouting at things and, do we want to come across as an uncontrolled crowd or a committed, disciplined crowd joined in solidarity, maybe singing a song, but a crowd that is less threatening and more convincing with their commitment to peace and to the Palestinian people. So the visuals matter. How we come across, how we are represented matters. So when we are in a crowd, if you're a leader or even a participant, remember not just what we are doing and what you are doing, how can we be represented and how can we be viewed as a collective group of people, because that's important. Two, let's go to someone walks up to you CNN, Fox News, and puts a microphone in your face and asks you a question. Keep in mind the frame. If it's a live snippet of your words, imagine that there is a show going on and the anchor person has said, there is a protest going on at Columbia University. Let's hear from our people in the field. So that person has cut from the main screen to the scene of the protest. We don't know how they framed it. Did they say there is a peaceful protest going on? Did they say there is a violent protest going on? Did they say there is a pro-Palestinian protest going on or anti-Israel protest going on? We don't know the frame. We can also not take the liberty of just trusting the mainstream media, because we know through research that their coverage of Palestine is biased. So if someone puts a mic in your face and says, why are you here? What possible answers you could give them, keeping in mind the framing, the general bias of US media, and an answer that passes on your commitment to the people of Palestine, but which can also withstand a follow-up question. Here are the possible answers. If you're angry like me, you would be, I'm here to oppose Israeli aggression. It's a good answer. If you've thought about it a little more, your answer could be, I'm here to support Palestinian rights. A good answer. The third answer simply could be, I'm here to make sure that the Palestinian children are not starved and killed in Gaza and in West Bank. These are three possible answers that you could give. Let's go over them. The first one, I'm here to oppose Israeli aggression. If the frame was that you are an anti-Israel protest, you just confirmed that frame. That's how your viewers will see you. That's how maybe you are being represented. The second answer, I'm here to support the rights of Palestinian people. It's philosophically a great answer. But a follow-up question from the journalist could be, does it also include Hamas? Now they have put you on a defensive posture. The third answer, I'm here to make sure that the Palestinian children do not starve and are not killed. Who could compete with that? What do you think the journalist is going to say? Why? Or the people viewing it, are they going to have any qualms about that answer? And it is the correct answer. At the end of the day, that's what we want in the immediate ceasefire, right? So instead of saying, I want a ceasefire, we connect it to why we want the ceasefire, and we connect it to the plight of the most vulnerable people who are being targeted. So why am I suggesting this answer, that connect it to the lives of children and to the starvation of children? Keep in mind the viewers of the show from which this journalist is asking you a random question. Based on research of human consciousness and brain, we know that most of our decisions in life are made emotionally. It's the emotions that shift our perceptions of things. Reason comes along later to rationalize our decision. When you connect your activism and your protest to the lives of children, which are being destroyed, you are reaching the decision-making part, the empathetic part of the viewers. and you are invoking a universal right of children not to be killed and not to be starved. Chances are that this answer, which is true to why you're there, you're not faking it, of course, will have more of an impact on the viewing audience and will disrupt whatever framing the program that has sent their journalists to ask you this random question. It will disrupt that framing. It will disrupt the framing of you being angry, foaming at your mouth protester, you being an anti-Israel protester, you being an uncritical supporter of Palestine. No, it will represent you as a human being standing in the street in solidarity with Palestine for the rights to life of Palestinian children. So keep in mind a few key points. In my entire answer, suggested answer, I have not used the word Israel. I have not said children have died. I have said children have been killed. I have not said children shouldn't be starved. I've mentioned that children are being starved. The entity doing it is already implied. You don't need to name it. You are just connecting your activism, your standing in the street, your protesting to the most unassailable aspect of the Palestinian condition, and that is the rights of children to live, thrive, and to not starve. When you give that answer, there isn't much of a comeback for the journalist, and it has a huge impact on the audience. Further, after you have first affected the emotional receptors of your audience, you can then add details. Know your numbers. The moment that you are answering, know your numbers. How many children have been killed? Number them. Right? Give them the statistics. How many of them have been killed by US bombs? If you have the statistics, use them and elaborate. But in this entire process, anger should not be a part of your expression. Yes, we are angry. We are enraged at what is happening. But when we speak about it, we will be calm, right? We will be peaceful. And we will be collected. Because remember, it's not about you and me. We are not out there to express our outrage. We are there to express our solidarity in peace. And we can only expand it if we come across as calm, collected, and informed individuals. So that's one scenario. Let's go into some more. Now let's go into a scenario where you're either being interviewed live with a panel or it's a recorded interview. It doesn't matter whether it's a major media outlet or just someone on YouTube. Now personally, I am very reluctant to go on any discussion where it's a debate format, where they bring someone from an opposing camp and you have to debate them. I think they don't serve any purpose, and your strategy for that kind of a scenario would be completely different. If you want a role model for it, the journalist Mehdi Hassan is a great example of that kind of engagement. I personally will not go on a panel discussion which is modeled on a debate. Now, if it is modeled on a conversation, then I will obviously join the conversation, if asked. I've done it in Pakistan on mainstream media, but never in the United States. Now, what to do before you do an interview, whether live or recorded? First of all, if you work for an institution, may it be a university or a corporation, check the rules. Are you even allowed to do that, right? If you work for a university, ask the media office what kind of guidance or help they can give you, because they can point to you, how to go about preparing for an interview like that. Ask for the format from the organizers. What kind of a format would it be? How much time will you be given to speak? See if you can have a clear contract. Then also ask the producer or the journalist whether or not you'll get a chance to see the final edited version before it is aired. That's in case of recorded interviews. In case of live interviews, of course, you do not have that option. But the general principles that we talked about in the first part of direct interviews in the street are the same. You are not speaking for yourself. You're speaking for the Palestinian people. Your anger or anguish is part of what drives you about what's happening, but you shouldn't be angry in the process of explaining it. Whenever in doubt, when answering a question, remind yourself you are speaking in solidarity with Palestinian people, so you owe it to them to speak in the most effective, in the most calm, and in the most honest way possible. Before the interview, you probably know the topic. Do your research. Ask the interviewer for a list of questions that would be asked, a list of topics that will be covered. Research them. Have your statistics with you. Then, during the interview, if the interviewer asks you a question and quotes wrong information, correct them politely. Tell them, no, this is not how it is. This is how I understand it. If they misconstrue your answer and build another question on that, correct them on that. Right there, if it's a live interview. If it's a recorded interview, even then, correct them right there. Do not leave it to chance. Most importantly, if someone is interviewing you for a press article or if it's a recorded interview, do not go off record. Never say anything off record, because you do not know what will end up in the final version, and you cannot trust anyone to respect the term when you say, oh, this is off the record, by the way. No, you should only say what is pertinent to your activism, that is the rights of Palestinian people, and only say what you will otherwise publicly state. Never go off the record. So these are some of the views that I have based on my experience and my study. Let's go over what we have talked about today. In the street, when we are protesting, on a campus or in a city street, we have always to remind ourselves that we are there to support the Palestinian people. It's not about us, it's about them. We also need to clearly remember that we are being recorded, we are being watched, and what we do, say, and the way we behave and act has an impact of how our movement is being perceived. And our movement will succeed only if more and more people in the United States and elsewhere in the world are sympathetic to us. If someone asks you a question, we rehearsed one question, connect it to the most important issue which is children are being killed and starved. To me, that will always be the most important issue. But give the emotive answer first. Give your opinion that impacts human emotions, and then add factual, statistical details to it. Give a positive answer in support of the Palestinian people. If in the live interview as well, the journalist misquotes you or makes a statement that you disagree with, politely correct them and then give your reason. And then in recorded interviews or panel discussions, the way you speak, the way you come across is important. Remember, the audience isn't the person interviewing you. The audience is the people who are either watching a live show or will watch a recorded show. That audience will always be moved first by what appeals to their emotions, the midbrain, right? And then facts and statistics, but also your calm demeanor, your lack of anger, and your excess of empathy and care and kindness. That is the most crucial part, in my opinion, in speaking to the media. Now, by the way, this video I created because a couple of you had requested in the comments while responding to my video about how to frame our conversation about Palestine that you would like to see more practical advice about our activism and about what we are trying to accomplish for people of Palestine. So this video is for you and for anyone else who can use it, but it was in a response to your suggestion. That's all from me today. Thank you so much. Stay safe, take care of each other, and as always, from me to you, peace and love.